Welcome back. You're watching our live and continuing coverage of the big verdict from Pakistan. Nawaz Sharif and his entire family has been referred to the Accountability Commission. You've also just heard that Nawaz Sharif himself has been asked to step down. Joining us now, our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan. At this time, live from Islamabad, we've got Hamza Amir. Geeta, you've been looking at what the judges have said. Give our viewers a sense of all that's happened in the court so far.
Well, the fact is that from a three-member judge, we've seen a five-judge bench that has announced the verdict, Rahul, and it depended on the JIT report that was submitted earlier on, which was absolutely rejected by Nawaz Sharif and his team. His lawyers had rejected all the claims made by JIT, but on the basis of the findings of the JIT, which was at the behest of the court, the findings very clearly spelled out that Nawaz Sharif and his family indulged in corruption, that the properties that were bought in London were questionable in nature in terms of the source of income and how did they really acquire those properties. And more importantly, there was an Office of Profit case that was highlighted with Nawaz Sharif being and continued to be a director in one of the companies after having taken over as Prime Minister of Pakistan. And these are the reasons why the five-member bench really came out with a decision to disqualify the Pakistani Prime Minister. And Rahul, what they depended on is that a very specific article which says that if there is a corruption case, then on the basis of Sadiq and Amin, that's truth and honesty, an individual cannot really continue in office. And it's on that basis that this disqualification has happened. Huge repercussions politically and domestically for the Sharif family, as also for PMLN. While they will continue to remain in government, there will be another Prime Minister who will be announced in some time from now, Rahul. But it seems
Stay
like
with me, Geeta. I want to bring some perspective. Rajiv Dogra, diplomat joining us on this broadcast, understands Pakistan well. Nawaz Sharif gone, Mr. Dogra. What are the implications for India? How will this impact the internal political calculus inside Pakistan?
Well, you asked a very big question and with many angles to it. But let me firstly clarify what the entire thing is about. The case essentially was about two issues. One, that the Nawaz Sharif family, including his son-in-law, Mariam's husband, Captain Saftar, they had assets beyond their known sources of income. The second was concealment of assets. These are the two basic issues. On this, the verdict has been given today by the five-member bench by a 5-0 majority. The PMLN party was not in question at all, nor its functioning, nor its status in the parliament. So, since it has the majority, PMLN will continue to rule with whosoever it elects the leader next. But coming back to the two principal issues, let me go back in time. I'm surprised that it has not been raised so far in the program. In 2009, there was a similar case against Nawaz Sharif and his brother for disqualification and also the assets which had been seized during the Musharraf regime. Few months later, Supreme Court decided that there was no ground for their disqualification from any election. The bases were the same: disproportionate assets, concealment of income, and so on. Not only that, Supreme Court also ordered subsequently in another case that all the assets seized by Pakistan government of Sharif family, including those of Nawaz Sharif, should be immediately released.
Stay with me just for a moment, Mr. Dogra, because I want to get in a word from Pakistan. Pakistan Supreme Court lawyer Akram Sheikh joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Sheikh, welcome to India today. Your sense of what may happen next in Pakistan, sir?
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Anil, thank you so very much for calling me and for, trying to ascertain the reaction. My first response is that this is an unusual judgment, as has very aptly been put before your audience and before your listeners by the preceding speakers, there was a case of disqualification, and the Honorable Supreme Court 5-member bench had exonerated the Prime Minister and had directed the government to return all the confiscated assets. This case has been going on, and initially the Supreme Court declined to entertain it, but then the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif himself said that he is willing to offer himself for accountability. So probably based on his concessional statement, the Supreme Court assumed jurisdiction under Article 184(3), which is parallel to Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. And basic reliance of the Supreme Court in entertaining...
So what are Nawaz Sharif's options from here on? This verdict has gone against him. What can he do to try and come back to power? Does he have any options, or is this final?
Of course, Nawaz Sharif party, the party whose head is Nawaz Sharif, continues to hold majority in the National Assembly. His disqualification is most likely to be called in question by a review petition with a request to the Chief Justice for constitution of the full court as the bench or a larger bench to reconsider, because there are inherent flaws and inherent contradictions. The case on 20th of April, 5-member bench decided the verdict. 2 decided disqualified Nawaz Sharif, and 3 members said no, without listening to Nawaz Sharif and without recording evidence, this is not possible. So it is for the first time in history of Pakistan that a joint investigation team was constituted by the Honorable Supreme Court, exercising its power under Article 184(3). Because the concept in Pakistan of JIT is only limited to Anti-Terrorism Act cases. They constituted JIT, and JIT just completed their exercise in 60 days, and during which these 2 honorable judges who were included last evening in the bench, they were not party, nor they had heard the evidence, nor they had attended to any of the...
Okay, just stay with me for a moment, because I also want to break this story coming in from Patna. That's the other story we're tracking. Just moments before now, Nitish Kumar has won that big trust vote. So our focus is on Pakistan, but Nitish Kumar, as predicted, has won the trust vote in Bihar. This happened just moments before now. It was done by division. He's won that trust vote in Bihar. He's won by 131 votes in his favor. The RJD opposition had 108 in their favor. So you've got Nitish Kumar winning the trust vote by 131 votes in his favor. 108 went against the Nitish Kumar. RJD led the opposition. So comfortable victory. Remember, 243 is the number of seats in the Bihar Assembly. So you need to get 123 at least to win. So they won by 8 more than the required number. That's what's happened in Bihar. Nitish Kumar winning the trust vote. Far more significant in terms of context and in terms of the import of the decision is what's happened in Pakistan, where Nawaz Sharif has been disqualified. Shafqat Saeed is joining us this afternoon from Pakistan. Welcome, Mr. Saeed. Your sense of what will happen next in Pakistan now that Nawaz Sharif has been disqualified, sir?
The Supreme Court has not only disqualified Nawaz Sharif and his family, Supreme Court has also ordered the National Accountability Bureau to register references against them. And as far as the election of new Prime Minister is concerned, the Parliament is intact, and the Parliament would go into session to elect the new Prime Minister. And logically, the people were thinking that Nawaz Sharif can be succeeded by Chaudhry Nisar. But yesterday, Chaudhry Nisar has said that he has not been part of the close consultation carried out by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and therefore he does not expect to be the next Prime Minister. So it is definitely not Chaudhry Nisar. Whosoever it would be one of the PMLN candidate, and he will definitely not be as powerful as Mr. Nawaz Sharif was in the Parliament. And I think it is totally a democratic system that is in motion, and this decision is a historic decision, and the history is rewritten in Pakistani democracy.
You're saying history is being rewritten, But what do you think, Shafqat Saeed, will happen next? That's the critical question. Who do you think is coming in as the new Prime Minister of Pakistan? What will be the implications of that decision for India?
I can't be very specific that who can be the person who would come, who would be the next Prime Minister. It is now not Khwaja Asif, because he has already left the country, and it is heard that Mr. Saad Rafiq is also planning to leave abroad. So after Chaudhry Nisar, it was these two gentlemen of whom we would expect that they would be the next Prime Minister. One of them would be the next Prime Minister, but these three are not in the scene now. They are not the aspirants for the next Prime Minister. Who it would be, I think the PMLN would be going out on this, that who would be the next Prime Minister, and let's wait and see.
Does the army become stronger? Your army already omnipresent, omnipotent as well. Does the army become even stronger now after Nawaz Sharif gets disqualified, because he was the popularly elected leader of Pakistan?
This question of yours is very amusing. You know, army has nothing to do with this. It was a political party.
The reality is, Pakistan is run by the army. Shafqat Saeed, you've been brought on as an analyst.
No, it's not army.
Pakistan is run by the army, so obviously the army is important.
I expect very serious discussion here. I don't want to be part of some jokes, you know. Now this is a joke that army is in it or army is after it. Army has already very clearly given its stance that it is a case in a court decide, the army would support that.
No, I don't think you understood, Shafqat Saeed, the full import of my question. I'm not saying that, no, one second, Shafqat Saeed, I'm not saying that the army made this happen. I'm not saying that. We have respect for the Pakistan judiciary. They've made some bold pronouncements in the past. I'm saying, how does the army's equation in the power calculus change now that the democratically elected Prime Minister of Pakistan has been disqualified? Does the army become more powerful in Pakistan's internal politics? It's a serious question.
I couldn't get your question because you are distorted at the moment.
Anything to do with the Pakistani army will always sound like it's distorted to you, but that's the reality, Shafqat Saeed. Stay with me. Rajiv Dogra is joining us. You know, it seems as if the Pakistani guests don't even want to talk about the Pakistani army and how things could change for the Pakistani army now that Nawaz Sharif is disqualified. Give us your perspective.
Well, number one, your Pakistani guest was saying the defense minister has flown out of the country and so has another senior minister. But he didn't say whether they've flown out of the country on a temporary basis or out of the fear of army. In which case, is he suggesting that there'll be an army takeover? Because then Mr. Nawaz Sharif is also in trouble. But I don't think that is the case, because army is already all powerful. In all likelihood, there is going to be a smooth transition, because Nawaz Sharif and his closest confidants had been anticipating this. It is not an unexpected decision. And I'm sorry, unlike some others, I don't think Supreme Court has acquitted itself with great sort of sense of justice in this case, because social media, Pakistani newspapers were already talking about what the judgment is going to be. So Supreme Court has not given something which was unexpected. It was expected. In fact, Justice Khostha, who is going to be next in line for the Chief Justice's post, in his interim judgment of 20th April, he starts by saying, quoting Balzac, and saying that many a great fortunes have a crime hidden behind them. Now, isn't that total bias? Then he goes on 13 points to castigate Nawaz Sharif. So his mind was already made up, and also of one of his colleagues.
Okay, stay with me just for a moment. I want to welcome to this discussion Sushant Sareen, one of our leading strategic affairs experts. Mr. Sareen, welcome. Your sense of the implications for India now that Nawaz Sharif has been disqualified?
Rahul, I don't think it makes any difference to us. Whether it was Nawaz Sharif or anybody else, or that clown Imran Khan comes into power, it makes absolutely no difference to us. India policy of Pakistan is made by the Pakistani deep state and the Pakistan army. That's not going to change. It hasn't changed in the last 70 years. It's not going to change in the next 70 unless we want to fool ourselves. But let's come to this judgment. I think it's a travesty of justice, this kind of a judgment. What has happened in this judgment is that the judges have pronounced a man guilty and then asked him to stand trial. I have never seen a wackier judgment in my life, that I pronounce somebody guilty and then say that you please stand trial to answer for your crimes. Then what the hell have you disqualified me for? It's a different matter that Nawaz Sharif did not really give the kind of evidence which was required to acquit himself. But the forum of a public interest litigation is not a forum for disqualifying an elected member of parliament, much less an elected prime minister. They have also disqualified people who were still not in public life. How crazy is this? I don't know what, this is the kind of kangaroo courts that the Pakistanis run. We've seen that in the case of variety of other judgments. But for anybody to say that you respect the judiciary of Pakistan, I think you really need to get your head examined.
Okay,
there is
Shafqat
nothing to
Saeed.
respect in the judiciary of Pakistan. It is difficult to not show contempt for the judiciary of Pakistan. You convict a person and then ask him to stand trial. Where else in the world does this happen?
An important point you've made. You've got Nawaz Sharif being disqualified and then being asked to stand trial. This, Sushant Sareen argues very correctly, seems to be a mockery of the judicial system. Shafqat Saeed, do you hear me? Give me a moment as I try and re-establish that connection with Shafqat Saeed. Do you agree, Rajiv Dogra, with that very important point made by Sushant Sareen, that you've already virtually by his disqualification pronounced Nawaz Sharif guilty and then told him now stand trial?
Well, I said exactly the same thing, that this is bizarre. The way Supreme Court has acquitted itself does not add to its colors or honors or feathers. Unfortunately, Mr. Nawaz Sharif made a number of judgmental mistakes and he walked into a trap set for him by the army and judiciary combined. So it's unfortunate that there was hope that at least for once a Prime Minister of Pakistan would complete his tenure. Now that hope is also gone. He is also being dismissed by a judicial murder before his term.
Sushant Sareen, does the army become more important now that Nawaz Sharif is gone? He was the one leader in Pakistan with local support. He won a fair election. With him gone, does the army become more important?
No, I think the army was very important even to start with. I don't think Nawaz Sharif ever really challenged the army. On some occasions, he did try to push the envelope a little bit. But then when he got, a kind of a blast coming from the army side, we remember how the army used this fellow Imran Khan in 2014 to pull Nawaz Sharif down when he wanted to prosecute Musharraf. And after that, Nawaz Sharif simply laid his arms before the army, went on his knees. He never challenged the army, never tried to oppose them on anything. He gave in to them all along. So, frankly, whether it's Nawaz Sharif or anybody else, the army will stay powerful, it will stay important. No matter who comes as a chief or who doesn't come as a chief, the deep state continues to rule Pakistan.
This is a big blow for Nawaz Sharif. This is a big blow for the Pakistan Muslim League. Sushant Sareen, how does this impact Imran Khan's chances? With elections scheduled in less than a year from now, with Nawaz Sharif weakened further, does that make Imran Khan a bigger player in Pakistan politics?
Well, I'm not entirely sure of that. See, on the charges on which Nawaz Sharif has now been disqualified and the way he has been disqualified, if there is even an iota of justice or law in Pakistan on the same charges of Article 62, 63, which means that the person has to be truthful and honest to become a member of parliament, I don't know which parliament in the world has anybody who will stand true on those two clauses. Imran Khan certainly doesn't fit the clause of Article 62-63. There are offshore companies that he never declared. There are assets which are dodgy, all sorts of other things. So maybe he because he never had public office, he was not corrupt, or he cannot be classified as corrupt. But tax evasion is a crime. Hiding your assets is a crime, which means that you're not truthful and honest. So ideally, Imran Khan and all his other cronies should equally be disqualified. Whether the courts will go down that road or not remains to be seen. But if they don't, then it will be very clear that Imran Khan is somebody whom the army favors. But at the same time, Imran Khan is, he is Im the dim, as he is called. He's rather dim-witted. He might be a good cricketer, but that's where it all ends. He parrots stuff which is put in his ears. So he is a guy who actually spooks the army. He's a maverick. He's slightly loose in the head. Will the army want somebody like him coming and running the country? He has never even run a municipality. He now wants to run the whole country, and he really doesn't know how to do it. Then the other thing is...
Let me put that question to Akram Sheikh, senior advocate from Pakistan Supreme Court. Do you believe the verdict today, Sheikh Saab, makes Imran Khan a stronger personality in Pakistan's politics? Does it make him a front runner for the next elections in Pakistan?
Definitely not. Most definitely, Imran Khan is going to follow the suit in being disqualified by the Supreme Court, which disqualified Nawaz Sharif this afternoon. And because the charges against him are not only more heinous in nature against Imran Khan, but one of the charges is that his party is a foreign funded party. The FARA's website shows him having received $23 million in 1 year from the US corporations, multinationals and foreigners. And under our political party's order, receipt of any portion of the funds from prohibited source makes you liable.
Let me put that same question to Rajiv Dogra. Your sense of Imran Khan, because the most jubilant of all has been the Tehreek-e-Insaf. Now, with Nawaz Sharif knocked out, he did well even in the last elections. Pundits expected him to do better, but he did reasonably well. Will he do even better? Possibly go on to be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan? Mr. Dogra?
Well, last elections, before the votes were being counted, I think I was the only one, and perhaps Sushant Sareen, who said Imran Khan is not going to win. It's Nawaz Sharif. And if elections are held today, despite Supreme Court verdict, Nawaz Sharif is going to win hands down. Imran Khan may be an attractive person on television and when he speaks against Nawaz Sharif, but he has no substance. The second thing is, Supreme Court may have disqualified Mr. Nawaz Sharif from holding a public office, but it has not disqualified him from election campaigning. And if Nawaz Sharif, as in old days, is able to campaign to his full strength, Imran Khan stands no chance. And that will be better for Pakistan and its welfare, because Imran Khan, his closest bond is with terrorists and terrorist organizations. So it's not good for Pakistan, it's not good for
he's one of those characters,
with any
a
of
bit
the
like
neighboring
Arvind
countries.
Kejriwal in India, Sushant Sareen, whose presence on TV is disproportionate to the electoral presence on the ground. But could that change in the next elections?
Unless it is made to change, which means that it's going to be a rigged election. And if you are going to rig an election to favor Imran Khan, my question is, and Mr. Akram Sheikh was entirely right, that it is quite possible that the party itself might be disbanded and Imran Khan on personal reasons might be disqualified, which means that the entire bets are off as far as Imran Khan is concerned. But if the army was to bring in a guy like Imran Khan to power, they would literally have to rig the entire election, because Imran Khan just does not have the party machinery or the perseverance or the sense, political sense, to actually marshal the kind of support you need, especially in the Punjab. His party is virtually non-existent in Sindh, and in KP, it'll be a bit of a toss-up, but KP doesn't send so many seats, and Balochistan doesn't count anyway. So Punjab is going to be the battleground. Nawaz Sharif has the patronage, politics of patronage in place. He has all of that. And he has the party machinery. So Ambassador Dogra is quite right. Even if Nawaz Sharif is disqualified, he can become the Bal Thackeray of Pakistan and become, the puppeteer behind the guy who becomes the next Prime Minister. It will be entirely up to him. But I think Pakistan will pay a very, very heavy price for the kind of judicial activism which we have seen today. The kind of lack of restraint by the judiciary.
Let Akram Sheikh respond to that.
Wacky,
you're calling this a verdict seeming similar to a verdict in a banana republic where somebody has been disqualified, virtually held guilty even before he's made to stand trial. Mr. Sheikh, do you think the judiciary there has crossed the line?
In my view, the judiciary has the power under Article 184(3) to declare a member of the National Assembly non-sagacious and non-righteous, and on the basis of that, he could be disqualified.
No, that's true. It has the power, but power has to be used with responsibility. Here you've disqualified someone without convicting him. You've said, okay, now his papers are being sent to the accountability board. They will examine the charges. Shouldn't the charges have been examined thoroughly, and then the judiciary have decided whether or not Nawaz Sharif is guilty?
I tried to explain it when you had this Bihar's election and you had the other gentleman from Pakistan on the line. I was just going to explain it, that there was in November, there was a petition lodged against Nawaz Sharif, which has been decided today. But on the same day, there were petitions lodged against Imran Khan and the richest man of his party, Mr. Jahangir Khan Tareen. Both of these petitions are pending. And I had counsel against Mr. Imran Khan and Mr. Jahangir Tareen. And the next date is 31st of July. And it is not improbable or beyond the realm of foreseeable possibilities that it will not take too long to decide the petitions against Imran Khan and Jahangir Khan Tareen. Now that the Supreme Court has taken a decision, it shall be slightly...
How likely is that possibility? Let me put that question to Shafqat Saeed. Mr. Saeed, that Imran Khan also get disqualified. He's seen as the knight in shining armor, the man and the stallion for Pakistan's politics. What if he also under similar charges gets disqualified? Where does that leave Pakistan's democracy and elections then?
Now, the charges against Imran Khan do exist, but he has been able to provide the money trail, and he has submitted his justification in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is yet to decide. His case is not as grave or as... he has the grounds to justify his stance, and that makes him... it is different from Nawaz Sharif. He has all the chances to be able to come clean out of the Supreme Court.
Sushant Sarin, do you agree? Shafqat Saeed saying he's somehow been able to explain the money trail and therefore Imran Khan cannot be found guilty by the Supreme Court, whereas Nawaz Sharif is guilty.
No, utter nonsense, and I'll tell you why. See, Nawaz Sharif has not been found guilty of corruption. He has been found guilty of hiding his assets or not disclosing his assets. Corruption charges are now to be levied against him in the accountability court, right? He has to, that is where the problem is coming in. Now, you can't say that here is a person who has been judged on certain standards and another person, because you like him, is not going to be judged on the same standards. The point is that if there was non-disclosure of assets or hiding of assets by Nawaz Sharif, then there has been similar crime committed by Imran Khan. Now, whether he was in government or not in government is immaterial. He is guilty of that charge. Now, they have disqualified members of parliament after due process, and in this case there was no due process, but they've disqualified members of parliament because a former judge had one account which had about 30 or 40,000 rupees which he held jointly with his wife, which he had never used for the last so many years, and he had forgotten to declare it, and you disqualified a member of parliament on merely that charge. How does Imran Khan then get away by not disclosing his assets?
The charge is similar. If Imran hadn't
presented is as dodgy as the money trail of Nawaz Sharif.
Papers, these property papers, when he declared his election affidavit, he can't now say that I've been able to establish the money trail. The charge is exactly the same. You can't say I won't disqualify X politician because I like him and disqualify Y because I don't. Shafqat Saeed, okay, I lost that Skype connection. You know, whenever there is a tricky question, very tough moment for a Pakistani guest, that's when Shafqat Saeed's Skype connection goes off. Now, this is the second time this has happened. Could just be coincidental, of course. Okay, Shafqat Saeed, can you hear me? Because Sushant Sareen had a very important question for you, which I was very keen that you answer. The charges are similar against Nawaz and Imran. You can't say Imran won't get disqualified. He also didn't reveal his assets during the elections.
No, this is not concerning the assets not revealed or assets revealed. It is basically the living beyond the income sources, and because the basic allegation against Mr. Nawaz Sharif was, one, he did not have the money trail, his name was in the Panama leaks, and secondly, he could not come clean with the justification that how he could amass such a wealth. And when it comes to Imran Khan, Imran Khan does not have the quantum of assets that Imran Khan has is not matchable to anything that Mr. Nawaz Sharif and his family had. One. And two, whatever allegations have been brought against Mr. Imran Khan, those allegations Imran Khan has been able to present money trail and justification for everything. And those justifications they have not been rejected. Because Mr. Nawaz Sharif, whatever justification he brought, those justifications were rejected by the home countries. There were 26 countries where his assets were existing, and when those countries were contacted, and many of the countries, about 25 countries responded, and they all rejected Mr. Nawaz Sharif's stance and said that this is not correct and the actual story is different. So there is nothing against Imran Khan like this, and whatever justification he has given, if the time proves that that justification is not correct, he would get disqualified, of which there are very lesser chances, because the money trail that he has been able to submit till now is absolutely correct. So I think that he will be able to justify his assets with proper income, and he would come clean out of this. He does not have those grey areas.
Do you believe that the verdict makes Imran Khan stronger? Does it make him, according to you, a front runner to be Pakistan's next Prime Minister?
Yes, because
our two guests dismissed him as a joke, saying he's the dim, incapable of running Pakistan. He's not even run a municipality so far.
I don't expect any sort of respect or courtesy from you once you refer to Pakistan. That's apart. Now, Imran Khan would definitely get stronger by this decision, reason being that it was Imran Khan who was behind this, and it was Imran Khan and his party which has brought this Panama leaks case to the Supreme Court, and it was Imran Khan who was contesting this case, and he was the only man behind all this, and then he rallied different political parties behind him, and many other elements of the society joined him in supporting him in this Panama case. So this is a
but very serious questions are being asked from inside Pakistan. There's this senior Pakistani analyst Omar Qureshi, and this is the same point that Sushant Sareen and Rajiv Dogra were making. You've disqualified your Prime Minister. You've said he can't be a member of Parliament without a proper trial. He should have been tried, found guilty, and then dismissed. In the absence of a trial, his dismissal reeks of a kangaroo judgment.
This is again your typical nature of.
I'm quoting to you a senior Pakistani analyst.
It makes to say all these things, but I want to tell you that you cannot term your Supreme Court like this, because Supreme Court has gone into the process of further investigation after its preliminary decision and formed a JIT, and JIT has gone into a great detail, and it not only scrutinized the people who were respondent in this case, but also went into great
No, Sushant Sareen wants to respond to that, because the JIT hasn't given a judgment. They've referred the papers to an accountability board. They haven't pronounced him guilty, yet they've disqualified him. Sushant Sareen wants to get in a word against you.
Your choice of words and your way of expression is not appropriate.
You see, here is the...
You're saying
no,
this...
he has to keep quiet. No?
Okay, let him speak. Sushant Sareen.
He doesn't, so this guy doesn't know anything about either law or justice or how the system works, and I'm not surprised, because the Pakistan army is a law unto itself. But in a normal course of law, if the court asks an investigating agency to investigate something, it is akin to a police investigation into something. You don't hang a person on the basis of a police investigation which says that, well, there are plausible charges against so and so. What you do is that you say, okay, fine, there are these charges, which means that you need to stand trial on these grounds. You don't take the charge sheet filed by the police as the judgment itself. You don't rule on the charge sheet of the police. You file charges and hold a trial. Out here, what they've done is that they've taken the JIT judgment without cross-examination, without anything else. They have decided they are going to convict an elected Prime Minister, disqualify him, mount a judicial coup, and then say that, okay, fine, now you stand trial for all the things you are guilty of. Then what the hell have you disqualified him for? Then, and if you thought he was guilty, then you should have charged him and thrown him into prison. But you never did that. So that is why I say it's a travesty of due process. It's a travesty of all laws of jurisprudence. Of course, now if you are an army man, and that also in Pakistan, then like I said, you're a law unto yourself. You can say whatever you want to and get away with it. So I'm not surprised with the kind of bizarre logic which
Shafqat Saeed must respond to that. Your argument being blown apart by Sushant Sareen.
Whatever Sushant Sareen is saying, that is less of a serious debate on logic and facts. It is more of a talk on a cup of tea on a roadside dhaba. Sushant Sareen is expected to be talking sense. And once he comes to say things like that the Pakistani law is such and Pakistani courts are such and a police cases should have been registered, this is all funny. This was a case brought in by a political party which was supported by many other joined in as party for this case against Mr. Nawaz Sharif, and then court went into a great deliberation, and then it went into further interrogation to have more proof. And once that proof was certain, then Mr. Nawaz Sharif was declared insuitable, which we say naahil qarar de diya gaya hai. So far he has not been sentenced to a punishment, and Supreme Court has ordered registration of references in National Accountability Bureau, which we have an arrangement to investigate on corruption. So now they would go into the jurisprudence matters so that Mr. Nawaz Sharif is punished for what he has been doing. This court had a mandate to find out whether the allegations...
Stay with me, gentlemen. I've got breaking news coming in that Nawaz Sharif has gone into a huddle. He's expressed sorrow for the verdict that's been put out by the Supreme Court. He's naturally very upset. He right now is holding a meeting of his top aides to decide who will be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan, who will come in his stead. It is unlikely to be somebody from his family, because even his daughter, his chosen successor, has been disqualified. So those are the things that Pakistan is looking at very closely. Rajiv Dogra, I want your sense and your calculation on who could come in next, and what this new Prime Minister will be able to do or not be able to do, given the fact that he's stepping into Nawaz's big boots.
Well, first things first, I think Mr. Nawaz Sharif has gone into a huddle because he has to come and face the nation and give his side of the picture. So I expect that will be the first step. Second, he might at that stage also announce who is going to succeed him. Whosoever it is, whether it is Khwaja Asif or anyone else, or Shahbaz Sharif, the fact is that there is going to be a continuity. The system is not getting destroyed, or system is not getting replaced. System remains, including the bureaucracy and more particularly the army. So things would be as they are. There will be a variation in degrees. So I don't think there should be any fear that Pakistan is going to fall apart, or suddenly there is going to be increase in tension to a phenomenal level with India or any other country. That's not going to happen. It's only going to be a variation in degrees. So I expect a reasonably smooth transition to whosoever is next, but the bitterness of the divide would remain. And here I refer to a number of Pakistani guests that you've invited to your channel to discuss this issue. One thing which comes out very clearly and starkly is that they are either for Nawaz Sharif or against Nawaz Sharif, and those who are against Nawaz Sharif want to tear him apart in whichever manner they can. So it's not an objective reaction to a judgment which is flawed.
Okay, you're saying it's not an objective reaction to a judgment that is flawed, and this is also coming, Sushant Sareen, I must tell our viewers, at a time when China is virtually taking over the Pakistani economy. We're seeing the kind of deep inroads China is making through the China-Pakistan economic corridor. So whoever is coming in is essentially also having to make significant compromises on Pakistan's sovereignty vis-a-vis their equation with China, and China virtually taking over areas like Gilgit-Baltistan.
No, but that's bound to happen whether Nawaz Sharif had stayed or whether Nawaz Sharif had gone. In fact, Nawaz Sharif is the guy who actually initiated much of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. That was really his swan song in this particular term in office. So in a sense, that blame will continue to be shared by Nawaz Sharif. My own sense is that he probably will appoint a guy who's probably maximum commands support in one seat, is not going to be a challenge to him. He'll continue to hold the party machinery. The only fear is that Nawaz Sharif, given his past proclivities, might tend to get into a kind of a collision course with the judiciary and by extension the army. Now that would be disastrous for him. It would make more sense for him to have one of his cronies appointed as Prime Minister, pulling the strings from behind the scenes, because now if he is going to go into a court case, he would rather that he comes out clean in the court case, which means that his political future can be revived. Otherwise, of course, for the time being, he'll remain the most important man in Pakistani politics, not in Pakistan. I think eventually there will be problems within the party, because there are reasons to believe that his younger brother has also been trying to challenge his position, positioning himself as a possible candidate for prime ministership.
No, but
which
just
he
imagine
become,
Imran Khan's
under the Pakistani law,
just imagine Nawaz Sharif's continuing bad luck. Rajiv Dogra, this is the third time he hasn't been able to complete a full term.
Prime Minister.
You know, it's just one thing or the other, something or the other keeps happening. The man is never able to last out a full term in office.
I think there must be something wrong with the stars. But since you brought up this topic, let me tell you that this has been the tradition of Pakistan right from the beginning. Unfortunately, I call it unfortunately, because the first Prime Minister was murdered 3 years into his term. 4 Prime Ministers have been overthrown by the army. A number of other Prime Ministers have been dismissed without any reason or without any major reason by the President of the country. So, Mr. Nawaz Sharif getting the short end of the stick thrice over is unfortunate, but there's nothing to be
third time unlucky
over, because that is how it is in Pakistan.
I want to go across to Hamza Amir. He's joining us on this broadcast. Thanks very much, Rajiv Dogra, for joining us. Hamza Amir, what's happening at this time in Pakistan? I'm told some kind of an emergency huddle to decide who will be next Prime Minister.
Yes, Rahul, as we speak right now, the Supreme Court decision has actually been handed over, a copy of it to the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif himself, who stands disqualified, and he is chairing a high-level meeting with the cabinet members and the sitting ministers to discuss the future course of action what the party is going to take and take his seat as the Prime Minister. And important discussions are being done, because now after the decision has come, they have to come out with some to take Nawaz Sharif's seat going forward. And as we understand, even the Finance Minister Ishaq Dar being qualified, I think there's one person in contention, that one is his own brother, Minister Punjab Nawaz Sharif, and other is the Defence Minister Khwaja. So I think our intentions who are being discussed, but obviously there's what on it that that at least might
with that video link from Islamabad with Hamza Amir. Give me a moment, I try and fix that audio and come back to you in just a moment. I want to get some final words also from Sushant Sareen as we wait to see who becomes the next Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, in this emergency hurdle. But from what you've said so far, Sushant Sareen, nothing really changes for India, because nothing much is happening with Pakistan. It's not as if India and Pakistan are on the edge of a massive breakthrough, and Nawaz Sharif getting toppled at this time jeopardizes that. There's nothing happening, so there's nothing really to lose.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, yes. But I think in the medium and long term, I think the portents of this judgment are pretty serious, because what this does is that it infects a virus in Pakistan's already unstable political system, whereby now you will have the judiciary becoming a player, trying to run the country on its own, trying to dismiss governments. This is the second government that the judiciary has dismissed, again on very, very flaky and very, very bizarre kind of grounds. And if this is now going to become a template, no member of parliament and much less any prime minister is now going to be safe, because everybody, let's face it, in our parliament of 542 members of parliament, at least Lok Sabha, not one man would stand the scrutiny if you are going to apply that article 62, 63 to them. No. Even I can't, you can't, nobody can, except for a newborn child. Nobody else can stand scrutiny to Article 62, 63. So this means that you have now instilled a virus in the Pakistani body politic, which will be used by political opponents to constantly pull down governments, which means that you're looking at prolonged instability. The courts certainly cannot say that, okay, fine, now that we have chopped off the head of Nawaz Sharif, henceforth this article will not apply anymore. That does not work, which means that they have set a precedence which is going to be an extremely dangerous political precedence to set. And I think that is what is more important. As far as India is concerned, like I said, as long as the deep state and the army continues to make policy on India, which they will continue to make for the next 100 years, I don't see any reason why we should be bothered about who comes and who goes in the corridors of power in Pakistan.
Okay, you're saying who comes, who goes makes very little difference. We're going to leave it there. Sushant Sareen, thank you very much for joining us. This is a body blow to Nawaz Sharif. He's been disqualified. His party has just come out and said that they will last out their full term. Khwaja Asif is one of the contenders. Shahbaz Sharif is one of the contenders. Shahbaz Sharif is also simultaneously the Chief Minister of Punjab. So given what happens in India in such a situation, I'd say someone like a Shahbaz Sharif is most likely to come in, but Pakistani analysts are saying Khwaja Asif is one of the lead contenders. He's made some disastrous comments when it comes to India as Defence Minister, so it'll be interesting to see what happens if he does get a chance. We will keep a very, very close eye on this big story. What a day this has been. Starting out from all the drama in Patna with Lalu Yadav furious with Nitish Kumar for walking over. RJD raising slogans inside the house. Nitish Kumar in the end winning comfortably. High drama also in Gujarat, where Congress MLA after MLA walking away, and now massive, the biggest drama of all in Pakistan. India Today's teams will continue tracking all three stories very carefully. We're slipping into a break. I'll get some lunch. We'll have more for you when we come back on the other side. Stay with us.